I'm Connor Rother, and I'm joined by welterweight prospect Matt Dixon, takes on Orion Kasi at Dana White's Contender Series, August 18th. What's up, Matt? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, brother. How are you?
Good, good. I wanted to make sure I didn't mess up your opponent's name. He had a different one. I kept pronouncing it Orion, but I saw that it was actually Orion, so I wanted to make sure I got that right.
Yeah. No, I hear you there. I had the same issue as well.
So, how's your summer been going so far?
What'd you say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
How's your summer been going?
Oh, it's been going great, man. I've got a lot of pool days in. Anytime I get to relax at the pool and enjoy that, it's a good day. Fortunately, all the pools here in Oklahoma open back up just in time to, enjoy July and August and some of the hotter months and all that stuff. So, I get the training in and then get my pool time in. And so I'm a happy man.
Yeah, there you go. And you're talking about the summer. Obviously, the Contender Series got pushed back a little further than originally expected. But I felt like the last time we talked too, I felt like although you might not know if the Contender Series was going to happen, I felt like you just seemed like you were kind of confident that eventually that opportunity would come. So now, like, does it seem real that it's here?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my goal, like in our last interview, was never just to make it to the UFC, but to make an impact in the UFC, to be in the UFC and stay there and become a UFC welterweight world champion. That's always been the goal for me. So I never wanted to just be one of those guys that just rushed into it and then was in and out. You know what I mean? Just spit out the wood chipper at that point. So, for me personally, I've always wanted to, do my best and compete up against the highest level of competition. So whenever I got the call, it was a different scenario. In the past, it sounded more like they were just looking for another 170 pounder. But this time they reached out to me specifically, texted me. I don't know how they got my phone number. I don't talk to them like that, but it worked out perfectly, man. It seemed like the timing was great.
Yeah. Like what happened like when you got that call too? Like because you said like you don't know how they got your number. Like were you like oh like is like someone pranking me or anything like that?
No, that's exactly what happened. So Sean Shelby was the one that texted me, and I was like, man, I was like, dude, I honestly think this is a fake number. So I sent it to my manager, and he confirmed that it was really him. And so then I just basically talked to my coach and talked to my team about it and all that good stuff. And then we decided that the timing was right.
Yeah, awesome. I actually recently just saw something on Sean Shelby that he was actually before he was like doing the UFC stuff. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Three Ninjas, but it was like a little
Yeah,
like karate movie
yeah,
back then.
yeah.
He was like
Uh-huh.
a stunt double for one of the kids.
Really, dude, that's
Yeah, like
awesome.
how interesting is that?
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I
That's
thought that
great.
was like so cool. But yeah, and just going back to like Contender Series too. I mean, you kind of just like said it for me too. Just I remember in our past interview, you were talking about how you gave up some opportunities to go to the UFC because you wanted to wait for the right moment when you felt you were ready. What makes you feel ready now compared to maybe some of those past offers?
I've always felt like I'm always improving. I still feel like I'm improving in this game. And there's no perfect time. I mean, I just had to sit back and say, hey, whenever a guy like that reaches out to you specifically, they're not just, looking for another 170 pounder. That changes things for me. I have a lot of respect for Sean Shelby. I have a lot of respect for Mick Maynard. I have a lot of respect for Dana White. When those guys talk to you, you listen. So at the end of the day, that changed things for me. I feel like, you know, I've, obviously taken my time in the sport. I've gone in, I've had to battle adversity and fights. I've had to go through those tough wars. I know that I'm ready, but at the same time, whenever I compete, like I said, I'm not just looking to go in and be one of these guys that go into the UFC and is in and out. You know what I mean? So for me personally, I was just taking the most slow, steady, perfect course that I knew I possibly could. And that was just me listening to the wisdom of my coach, my team, as well as myself, and obviously praying about it and all that good stuff. So
Hmm.
for me, that was one of the big decision makers for me.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you ever think that maybe when that chance would come, that it would come during a national pandemic?
Dude, I never would have thought, man. Would have never thought. This is just a crazy situation.
Yeah. And I feel like I've been asking almost anybody who's kind of booking a fight right now, but just the fact that it is in the Apex, it's going to be kind of empty in there. Like, do you have any like reservations about that? Any concerns?
No, not really. You know, fortunately for me, I love MMA. I love competing in this sport. You know, for me personally, as a fan, I love watching the fans. I love the excitement. To tell you the truth, a lot of like the big fights that are getting ready to happen, like Justin Gaethje and Khabib and Paulo Costa and Israel Adesanya, those bigger fights. You know, I don't know if I want to see those fights without fans. You know, so from a fan's perspective, I love the crowd. I love the fans and all that stuff. But as far as an MMA fighter, man, dude, I spar all the time. You know what I mean? I train all the time. I go to gyms all across the USA, you know what I mean, and spar in empty places all the time. So for me, that's normal. You know what I mean? So I feel very comfortable.
Yeah. Going off what you're saying in the game there too, I think this weekend's gonna be really interesting because that's gonna be like one of those first big matchups we've seen in an empty arena, like Miocic Cormier. Like it could be, I mean, most likely Cormier. I don't think he's bluffing. Like it's gonna be his last fight. So I mean, that's kind of crazy too to end your last fight with nobody there.
Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're taking on Orion Kosi too. I mean, how familiar were you with him before you kind of saw his name on the contract?
Wasn't familiar with him really at all. You know, I didn't actually get to see his name on any of the lists or any of the rankings or any of the previous bouts or anything like that. So I wasn't quite sure who my next opponent was going to be. And so, yeah, but, you know, watching him and all that stuff, I see why he's making it to the Contender Series. You know what I mean? So there's no lack of respect there whatsoever.
Yeah. Is there, when you look at him, is there an area where maybe he poses more of a threat than others?
I mean, I would say he's more comfortable on the ground, but he's one of those guys. He looks like he's improving constantly. You know, it looks like he's at a good gym, a good training facility. It looks like he's going to be prepared to bring it regardless. You know, at the end of the day, I'm going to fight my fight. I'm going in there to attack this man, you know. And so when I step into that cage, I'm not worried about really what he's going to do. I'm just prepared, and I allow my preparation to take over as soon as I step inside the cage.
Yeah. I think when you look at this fight on paper too, I mean, I know you have 6 finishes, but I think all of his fights have been finishes as well. I mean, do you see this one going the distance?
No, I do not.
How can you get, like, you don't have to go through the whole game plan, but how do you kind of see playing out?
I see myself putting them away. Yeah, I definitely see myself putting them away. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I don't like to go in with anything that's going to kind of constipate my technique, if I can even use that as a phrase. But, you know, whenever I go in there, I like to be fresh and elusive and allow my striking and my actions to do the talking for me. But, you know, yeah, I definitely see myself finishing this fight.
Yeah. Now, I know I saw too that his brother's going to actually be headlining the event. Now, I don't know if this is like true or not, but I would assume that that's probably a first if 2 brothers were to get a contract on the same night. Does any part of you kind of feel like, you know, like spoiler, like do you like that kind of role?
I mean, it's crossed my mind, the fact that it's like, you know, a situation where I'm the spoiler, right? You know, I come in and do that. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, this guy's a competitor. I'm a competitor. And once we go in there and we step inside that cage, it's all business. You know what I mean? We can be friendly before and after and all that stuff. And I hope nothing but the best for him afterwards and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, like I said, when that cage closes, it's all business.
Yeah. You seem like such a nice guy too. Like, have you ever had like bad blood with like any of your opponents before?
You know, to tell you the truth, as shallow as this is going to sound, you know, there's never been a personal vendetta that I've ever had with an opponent as far as like something they said or anything like that. But there's certain faces, you know. I've had opponents that they'll have a certain smirk on their face or a certain look on their face. And it's nothing like, it doesn't get me off my game or anything like that, but it just, I just enjoy it a little bit more. You know what I mean?
So is it kind of TBD right now with Orion? You gotta wait till you're at the weigh-ins to see kind of if he has that smoke.
You know, I don't know, to tell you the truth. You know, my opponents in the past, I could see it in the posters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could see it in the posters. I was just like, man, there's just something about this guy's face. You know, as shallow as that sounds. You know, there's sometimes I guess that issue, but outside of that, I don't see anything wrong with his face that just irritates me, to the point where I just want to hit him a little bit more, you know what I mean? But hey, you might just be right, maybe once he cuts a little weight, it'll just irritate me a little bit.
Yeah. And then on the other side of that too, I mean, have you ever had a scenario where, you've beaten a guy or something, you guys kind of linked up afterwards and, we're training together, anything like that?
Yeah. I've had a couple of training partners, we had a guy, Tegan Dooley, come in. We had Codell Ford come in. We've had a couple guys that have wanted to come in and all that stuff. I'm one of those guys, like I said, before and after the, fight and all that stuff, it's nothing personal, but at the end of the day, we're all in this to improve and to compete and to become the best, and so, there's been multiple guys that I've, brought in to train and all that stuff. The only people that haven't been invited to come and train are the guys that, their face I just didn't like,
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I was going to say, were any of those guys one of the face guys, but I guess not.
Yeah, no, that's about it, you know what I mean? But outside of that, that's it.
Yeah, for sure. And anything else that maybe you're like kind of looking forward to? I mean, you're going to the Apex kind of, Contender Series. Obviously, that's a big deal. Like anything else you're kind of looking forward to about the whole thing?
To tell you the truth, man, this has been a dream for me for so long, man. Ever since I was 12, I was watching the sport. So I've been in love with this sport. This is something that is, it's just, it's a dream to me. It feels destined, and so at the end of the day, when I step inside that cage, man, this is what I've been, training my entire life for, my entire MMA career, whenever I started as an amateur in kickboxing, I started as the very first fight of the night, and then I worked my way up. I won the belt, and it was the main event and all that stuff, right? And then, I went to XFN and started fighting at MMA. Was the very first fight again of the night, you know what I mean? And then I worked my way up all the way, won the belt and all that stuff. So I would work my way up. And now, but all those things were awesome and they were amazing. They were great for me to get that experience in. But the UFC is where I've always wanted to be. And so now that I get to go and work my way up in where it's going to be written in stone, this is history at this point. That makes it so much greater for me. That wakes me up just a little bit brighter than I already was. You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, I'm very pumped. I'm very excited. You know what I mean? I'm sure, I'll be nothing but numb and calm whenever I'm in that cage. But at the end of the day, I'm very excited right now.
Yeah, for sure. And do you have to get there like a little earlier than maybe you normally would fight as far as like testing, and also too, like I know they always do a lot of like production too, like different videos and things like that for the event.
Fortunately, we already got that out of the way actually. So they already flew me out to Las Vegas. I got all the press stuff, the media stuff out of the way, and then basically now when I get there, I'll get the COVID testing out of the way as well too. I've already been tested twice or three times for COVID and all of that stuff from the UFC, and got all my medicals done and all of that stuff. So yeah, so it's looking like we're pretty much good to go. I think we'll just get a last little bit of media stuff out of the way, and then weigh-ins. That'll be that.
Yeah. Is the test as bad as they say, the no swab?
Haven't had to do it. Thank God, dude. I am so happy because I've heard such bad things about that no swab test, man. I am not looking forward to that if I have to take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Well, thanks a lot. Anything you want to say before I let you go?
No, man. Just thank you to my sponsors. Thank you to my sponsors, Bud Brothers Medical Marijuana Dispensary, as well as Evolved Health and Wellness. All of you guys really have supported me to this point to really make this whole fight camp happen. It's been an amazing fight camp, and I've been able to prepare to the point where I just feel amazing. So thank you guys so much, and thank you as well for this interview. I really appreciate it.